And when I took Prolixin, it felt like they yanked my brains out. And when they talk about chemical lobotomies, I mean that's what I had. I had a chemical lobotomy, but it felt like they yanked my brains out. Hello, it isn't Fearless Phil Fosdick. My name is Obadiah Shortfeller, in case you wanted to know. I don't have a hammock upstairs, but I have a couch. Notice the graceful bodily movements?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Well, how are you doing anyway?
I've been practicing survival techniques.
You have been, huh?
Yeah, I'm in a much better, much more favorable circumstance. The past 6 years or so, the places I've been living in, I'd say it was uninhabitable for
Move the
living.
dial over just a little bit, would you?
Do you have it on?
Yes, move it over just a little bit this way.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is just to get the introductions right. This is Mortimer Snurd.
That's Mortimer.
My name is Mortimer Snurd. Hold it. Just a second.
Okay.
Just a second, Mortimer. Say that a little bit more distinctly. My name is Mortimer Snurd. As in, no, I won't say that. I am not a dirty person.
We know that. So what have you been doing since it snowed lately? So what basically has been consuming your interest?
Reading, writing, and I'd say taking walks to pick and save and getting a minimum of food supplies. I'm still scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to finances. I find it almost impossible to live on $149 a week. I mean, there's that thing, little things come up. I had a couple of hats which I think were either pilfered or they were lost. And when they get my first reaction is to think they were pilfered. I really think they were. But it's happened before. I had about $250 worth of clothing stolen at my previous habitat because the keys didn't lock properly. I kept getting new keys from the landlord, but all it takes was a little shove and people could break in very easily. So I haven't. At least I got a decent lock here,
So
and the landlord likes me.
the landlord here likes you, and before you had an apartment that couldn't lock, and you had a landlord that didn't like you.
The landlord liked me a lot, but when I got more functional, then he started getting a little bit on my case. I recited poetry to his wife. His wife liked the poetry a lot, but I don't think she liked me. And then the landlord's father threatened to assault my hair if I didn't get a haircut. He evicted me. So they evicted me for the length of my hair. Oh, there. What do you think of that, folks?
But
Cary Grant?
that was just the
With
father?
a wig?
The father did that, huh?
Yeah.
But didn't the son have anything to say?
He didn't stand up for me. I don't know. Actually, he found me kind of a wild guy and kind of entertaining and everything. But when it came to actually standing up for me, he sided with his father and his wife.
Let's see. That's too bad. So you had to leave that place, huh?
Yeah. So this is the finest place I've had, second finest place I've had in my entire life.
Hmm.
I'd say this is the finest. But I was in, this is better than the Flop House in Chicago. But the Flop House in Chicago was the second finest place I've had in my entire life. I got to go back to Earth House, New Jersey, back when I was about 27 years old. It was a home for so-called schizophrenics. That's a very ambiguous concept. Now, seriously, don't you think so?
It's, that's what schizophrenia is. It's ambiguity.
Don't no on a more optimistic level. Don't you think John Lennon and Bob Dylan are a little bit schizophrenic?
No. Well, I don't know them, so.
Well, no, you've heard their music and
Yeah.
you've familiarized yourself a little bit with their works, probably, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, the Beatles weren't total strangers, but John Lennon was probably the most eccentric Beatle
Yeah.
and the most schizophrenic, I'd say. Any guy who drops LSD 1,000 times isn't always operating with a full deck.
What did you study?
BS. Business and sociology.
Business.
See, BS.
So you didn't get the. You talked about your grades one other time.
My grades were not exceptional. No, should I point out some of my failings, or should I talk about the good? I got a B in. I got a B plus in a elementary statistics course. Very difficult course, actually. You got to be a brain to get through that. It takes hard work. Some of those business courses were difficult. Microeconomics, actually, the 50. I was one of the arch conservatives throughout most of the college experience. But by the time it took me 5 years to graduate with a double major in business and sociology. As I discovered later, part of the reason for my so-called schizophrenia, and as a matter of fact, I felt I was schizophrenic when I was in college. I was pretty crazy most of the time, and I spent a lot of time sleeping or struggling with problems gee whiz, what's that word where you have difficulty reading?
Dyslexic?
Dyslexia. I had dyslexia at times. I would stare in front of a business law textbook and nothing would permeate or register. And in retrospect, I think the problem lied with my father as much as anyone, because he never discussed his business practices. He would sit there at the dinner table or after the dinner table in front of his business work, and he wouldn't say anything. So how the heck was I supposed to discover? Granted, you find out by reading yourself, and you gotta give the kid a little push if he needs it. But there was very little dialogue between my dad, who was the CPA, and I don't know how he did it, but he got almost a 4-point grade point average in college, whereas I got only a 2.001.
C. Where did he go to school?
He went to Marquette. He never told me about his college experience. My parents never told me about anything from their childhood and this and that. They had a card club. That was the extent of their social life. And they went to church. Well, that was the whole crux of the matter. You know, they were extroverted in church, and in the homes they were the ultimate introverts. They hardly ever even talked to each other.
While you were there.
Well, yeah. Well, while I was there, they had a different standard for my younger brothers, though. I mean, they had a much